My name is Kim Bria. Got it. I am the co-chair of the Westland Sustainability Board. We have our other co-chair, Terrence Schumacher, here tonight. I'm kind of excited about that. I thought you were going to be gone. Thanks. And we have a fantastic panel. So tonight is another part of our education series, and it is about the electric future. So we're going to broadly cover transportation, solar, and storage, and all those things in between that connect them, and how it impacts us as individuals, as a community, and across the country. So I am going to start by introducing Cal, because that's the first on my notes here. And he is a product development specialist for PGE, and now primarily focused on transportation electrification projects. Way to go, Cal. He worked for the Electric Tool Exchange last year and helped create 3 Clackamas County events last month. He's been with PGE for 13 years, mostly in customer service, and where he was a supervisor before moving into product development. He's been married for 3 years, has a 12-year-old stepson, a 1-year-old daughter. In his spare time, how do you have spare time, Cal? He likes to run, play golf, and chase his toddler around the house. There's your workout program.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and pre-COVID, having a baby, you also enjoyed travel with your wife. That was good timing. So one day we'll get back to that. Great. With us, we also have Shanna Brownstein, and she is an expert in energy and climate policy, with a focus on how local actions help mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. She currently works at Tesla, developing charging sites. Previously, she worked at Portland General Electric on the utilities transportation electrification efforts, local climate action, and energy resiliency projects. Those are a lot of multi-syllabic words. And at Northwest Natural, where she focused on local and regional utility issues and environmental policies. Prior to joining Northwest Natural in 2011, she managed policy and government affairs at the carbon finance nonprofit, the Climate Trust. She is a certified whitewater rafting guide. We are going to hang out, Shanna. And enjoys hiking and skiing, eating good food. Yeah, we're totally hanging out and hanging with her family. She received a master's degree in public administration from Columbia University in New York City, and a bachelor's in government and international studies from Colby College in Waterville, Maine. Okay, and then we have Hannah. And Hannah, thank you for the super brief intro. This is, I want to be at a party with all of you. Hannah Porter is a product developer at PGE, specializing in resiliency and energy storage projects. She's a lifelong Oregonian who is passionate about serving the needs of the Portland area community and helping customers on their resiliency journey. And she's also going to be focusing on medically fragile customers tonight. So since there's 3 of you, we're not in a particular order. Would anyone like to start?
Shawna, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I also just want to say that Hannah had a really short bio, but she's also like an avid traveler and has like spent quite a lot of time abroad.
Thanks, Shawna.
Yeah. So I just feel the need to like put that plug in for her.
Thank you. I didn't know we were doing like full awesome bios. You guys are amazing.
No, I sent a bio from the Northwest Energy Coalition like that was handy online. Hi everyone, my name's Shawna Brownstein. I just recently joined Tesla. Today was my 2nd day. And previously, as Kim said, I was at Portland General Electric, where I worked on like lots of different things. And maybe what I'll do is I'll paint kind of a high level picture of how all of this stuff comes together, and then talk a little bit about transportation electrification and the role that utilities can play, but also that the private sector can play in helping accelerate the transition to electric vehicles. So just to make sure that we're all kind of operating at with the same foundational information, the whole premise around electrification and like the future being electric is that electricity can come from lots of different places. So it can come from coal, which is really dirty, or it can come from wind and solar and hydroelectricity, which has no greenhouse gas emissions. And the good news is we can clean up the grid. We can transition all of the electricity generation away from dirtier sources like natural gas and coal toward clean sources like wind, solar, and hydroelectricity. And that's important because as we transition our end uses, so like our appliances and our vehicles and our homes and businesses away from natural gas to electricity, or gasoline or diesel to electricity, we want to make sure that we're using clean electricity. So just at a high level, it's important to know that the Northwest, Oregon in particular, has a very clean electric grid. We have a lot of hydroelectricity, and we have laws on the books that require us to transition towards cleaner electricity every year. There's also a bill that will disallow us from purchasing coal from out-of-state sources. We retired our only coal plant in 2020 out at Boardman. So there's no coal generation in Oregon, but there is coal outside of Oregon that generates electricity for Oregonians. So there's laws that say, no, you can't even bring coal by wire in anymore. So we're transitioning to this cleaner grid. So that's kind of like the high level, right? That's what the utility can do. But now it's time for us to think about what individuals can do and what communities like West Linn can do. So West Linn has a climate action plan that has a bunch of efforts in it that the community would like individuals and the municipality to take. And a lot of those actions are like, we want you to drive less, we want to plant more trees, things we know that are good for the environment. But for individuals, sometimes people are left feeling helpless. Like, what can I do as an individual to help the climate? I know there's a climate emergency. I know that emissions are going up. What can I do? And there's lots of things that you can do. You can recycle, you can walk more, things like that. But there's some bigger things that we wanted to talk to you about today, like electrification, which really comes down to how do we electrify your home or your business, and how do we electrify the transportation that you use on a daily basis, your personal vehicle or the bus that you take on public transit, or the bus that your child or grandchild takes to school. How do we start to move in that direction? And electrifying transportation is really important for a few reasons. One is 40% of Oregon's greenhouse gas emissions come from the transportation sector. So that's really important. It's a huge part of the transportation sector, and it's growing. Emissions have decreased, but transportation emissions have continued to increase. So that's a really important point to make. The second thing that's really important about the transportation sector is that it doesn't just emit greenhouse gas emissions. It emits all sorts of other pollutants that are really harmful for public health, that cause asthma and heart disease. So think about like the black soot that comes out of trucks when they drive down the road. Even in engines that are newer and clean, they still emit particulate matter, PM 2.5, and those have a really big impact on, like I said, public health in your community. They also have an impact on our snowpack. So as like the particulates land on the snow up on Mount Hood, they actually make the snow absorb more heat, so it melts faster. Which is really disruptive to the environment as well. So electrifying transportation is a really, really important action that we can all take that helps combat climate change and reduce emissions today. And it really depends on each individual person. It can't, there are lots of mandates out there, like in California, they won't sell gasoline powered vehicles, so internal combustion engines, after 2035. There's things like that, but ultimately it's up to you. And there are a lot of electric vehicles on the market today. Often they're at a premium to internal combustion engines. And you might be thinking, you know, that's not how I drive cars. I have a car, it works fine. I'm going to just keep driving it till it dies and then I'll get a new car, or I don't have the money to pay a premium on an electric vehicle. And that's absolutely a fair argument. But I will say that there's really good news, and the price point on electric vehicles is coming down, and the number of electric vehicle types, so models out there being manufactured, is skyrocketing. So we anticipate there are going to be, you know, many different options and different price points out there for electric vehicle buyers in the near future. When I say the near future, I mean like 12 to 24 months. Additionally, there's going to be used vehicles out there. And so if you typically purchase a used vehicle, the good news is that there will be used electric vehicles out there. That hasn't necessarily been the case because they've been so new. So there weren't really any used ones. And the other thing that's important to note is that there's a sense out there that, well, I can't have an electric vehicle because I need to be able to drive far. And what if I can't charge that vehicle up? So two things about that. One is that for 90, I think it's like 90% of the driving that we all do, electric vehicles are fine. We drive around town. And electric vehicles today can drive up to 300 miles. So unless you drive, you know, an enormous amount for work or something like that, running to the grocery store, it certainly works for my family in terms of the kind of driving we do. And, you know, 3 or 4 times a year, we go on a longer road trip. And there's an enormous amount of investment being made right now in the charging infrastructure across the country so that people who are driving on the highway can easily pull over and refuel at a charging station the same way you would at a gas station. And especially with the Biden administration, there's just an enormous amount of money coming to the states to invest in charging infrastructure. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Kim. And again, happy to answer any questions that folks have.
Fantastic, thank you. Cal, you want to bring us in with transportation transition and tools and cool things?
Sure. Well, first, did anyone have questions? I don't want to disrupt if anybody had questions for Shawna.
You can also throw them in the chat. So if you have questions as we're going, throw them in the chat so that we can make sure we, you know, get the speakers in and get your questions addressed.
Perfect. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll give kind of an overview, and hopefully it kind of goes well with what Shawna was just talking with. Then I'll pass it to Hannah to talk about her specific program, and then we'll talk about tools at the end. So Shawna, thank you for sharing that, because PGE, as the utility that serves Westland, we are committed to supporting Oregon's clean energy future. By 2040, we will be net zero with greenhouse gas emissions across our company operations. And we do need our community members to be able to help and buy into this as well. So it's, you know, we're trying to do our part, but we also want the community to take part in this. And so, you know, to Shawna's point, what can you do? What can Westland community members do to help with this? We're really committed to providing options for clean enablement, energy management, and electrification for all. And that means transportation electrification, but also building electrification, tool electrification that can be supported by our customers. You know, one big thing, and probably one of our most popular things, is that customers can enroll in our renewable energy program, which, by the way, is #1 in the nation. Just want to point that out. It's called Green Future. And to Shawna's point too, you can drive an electric vehicle, and we have a lot of different programs that help support our customers being able to make it more affordable and easier to do for their life. We have a residential smart charging program. There's also business programs and a lot more that we're doing, you know, for fleet level customers. We're looking into multifamily options as well to help our underserved customers with their charging options to reduce that range anxiety that Shawna was just talking to. So, you know, what we want to do is we want to share a little bit of other things that we can do, that Westland customers can do, and then learn a little bit more about what PG as a whole is doing to help with the climate crisis. I am going to put in the chat a link to our website that really shares a lot about what we're doing to make it clean. And from there, if you click that, you can find a lot more information on a lot of our programs as well, and just more information about what PG is doing. So that's kind of the overarching view. That's what Warren was going to be sharing, and but I thought it fit in well with to lead off with that. And then I'll kick it over to Hannah, who's going to go into one of the programs that she's been working on.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. That set the stage nicely. So, oh, it looks like I'm not able to screen share, so I don't know if the host can switch that. Because I do have some slides I wanted to walk through.
I will make you a presenter.
Thank you.
While you're at it,
Then
I'll be
Kyle
sharing
and Zach.
something. Yeah, I'll be sharing something after Hannah. So if you're able to include me as well.
Okay. So, yeah, my name is Hannah Porter. I'm really happy to be here. I joined PGE just about a year ago, and I am a product developer specifically focusing on resiliency and storage products. And I primarily focus on the residential side, although we also do work with municipal and business customers as well. I used to work with Shawna. I miss her. I hope she's doing well in her new position. But from the PGE side of things, kind of first thinking about what resiliency really means, because it's a term that is kind of just tossed around in the utility world. It can mean a whole host of things. So when you think about resiliency as a consumer of PGE or a customer of PGE, we're assuming that you're considering your ability to stay healthy during an outage. You want to meet your environmental goals. Maybe you want to keep your electricity bills low. Maybe you want to keep your business operations running regardless of extreme heat, extreme cold. Some customers want to prevent sensitive or high-tech equipment from damage. And you want to keep your family safe and comfortable through increasingly erratic weather. So resiliency really is your ability to do all of these things, right? Resiliency is robustness. You can absorb shocks and continue operating. Resiliency is being resourceful. It's being able to rapidly recover. So for us, especially, that's getting services back online as quickly as possible whenever we do have an outage. And resiliency is adaptability. So incorporating new information, learning from lessons in the past, and creating new products and programs in the future, which is a big part of my and Cal's job on the product development team. So for those of you that do kind of want to nerd out a little bit about storage and electricity at PGE, I wanted to just share this kind of larger scale slide here. So on a utility scale, we do have some resiliency efforts that are already either built or in the process of being built. So starting at the left, we have the Port Westward generation plant. This is a 5 megawatt battery used as an energy reserve that's in development. And moving down the transmission lines, you can see that the Coffee Creek and Baldock projects, those are two proposed projects that would provide backup power to essential substations. The top right shows our two microgrids, the Beaverton Public Safety Center and the Anderson Readiness Center. They're meant to act as their own power grids if the rest of the grid happens to go offline. And the bottom right shows our two residential options. So there's a personal battery pilot, which is a proposed offering. So it's not active right now. I'll mention it a little bit later. But that would offer small portable batteries to qualified customers to use in their homes during an outage. And then we have the smart battery pilot. So this is active, but it's only active in our test bed locations. And the PGE test bed is 3 different areas within our PGE service territory where we're able to test new technology, get customer feedback. And so in the test bed zones, we have the Smart Battery Pilot is providing incentive payments to customers to install whole home battery backup systems on their homes. And in exchange for letting PGE call on those batteries during an event, they get an incentive paid to them by PGE on a monthly basis. Our resiliency priorities on our team are going to be focused on 3 different kind of customer segments. So we work with residential customers. We want to expand access to personal resiliency products like small portable batteries. We want to increase general knowledge about resiliency products for our residential customers. For our business customers, I'm going to talk today about Energy Partner, which is our most prominent program focused on really increasing the resiliency of our business partners. This rewards business customers by helping them make clean energy choices. And then our municipal relationships, we are always looking for new ways to help our cities and our communities to achieve their resiliency goals. And that's usually just through partnership engagement like tonight, hearing from them. We always want to learn more. So if you have any ideas of ways to partner with PGE, we're always open to those conversations. So for people that are on the call today that are just regular residential customers like me, you have a few options when it comes to adding resiliency products to your home. A whole home battery backup system. These are going to be good for customers who live in a single family home or an owner of that home typically. These large batteries can be used with or without solar, so they can draw power from the grid or they can draw power from solar panels. You don't have to have both, but it is more common that folks will do solar plus storage at once. These batteries allow your entire home to remain energized in the event of an outage. And the duration really does depend on how big your home is, what battery you've purchased, what you're trying to power with that battery. So it's hard to say the exact estimates because it really does vary if you're powering your entire home versus I just want to keep my fridge on during an outage. They're not inexpensive. They're going to start around $10,000 and most of them are going to be over $20,000 for a whole home system. There are, however, income qualified rebates through Energy Trust. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at their programs to see if there's anything that you might qualify for to get an instant rebate on any of these devices. We also see an uptick in customers purchasing portable battery products. So these are like, think like a Yeti or a camping battery. You can actually buy, I saw these at Costco the other day. They're getting much more widespread. You can get them at Home Depot, anywhere. These are great if you have a specific product that needs a backup system, backup power. So medical devices, heating and cooling devices. If you have a small refrigerator to keep your prescriptions cool, something like that. These are not going to power your regular fridge. They're not going to keep the lights on in your home, but they would keep you connected to your cell phone, maybe a radio, other essential products like that. The nice thing is there's a ton of manufacturers making these batteries. So they're easy to get, they're easy to find on sale, and the costs are going to range from a couple $100 up to several thousand, depending on what you want. Most recently, we've been doing a deep dive into the needs of customers who are reliant on electricity for medical purposes. So one of the most recent batteries we were looking at can actually power a CPAP machine for 21 hours. And that one was priced at, off the top of my head, I think about $1,500. So those are becoming more and more common. The prices are also coming down on those. Those are an excellent option. Those also could be paired with little fold-out solar panels. So not like solar panels on your roof, but you can buy little extra components that you plug into the battery. And then if you have an extended outage, you can walk outside and charge your personal battery. We see a lot of our customers, especially out in our more rural territory, that are still purchasing gas-powered generators. And while these obviously are not a carbon neutral option, they still are a resiliency product that can help customers weather an extended outage. So if you are looking at these, portable generators, the most common, but there are stationary generator options that are connected to your home wiring and are only installed by an electrical contractor. So please do not install that yourself. PGE is facing more extreme outage seasons, as we are all aware. So what previously used to be winter storm season being kind of our primary time to prepare our customers and prepare our outage crews, it's now becoming year-round extreme weather season. Our heat dome in June of 2021 was a great example of this. So we want our customers, we want to do our best to keep your power on at all times. That's just not possible. So we want to encourage our customers to be vigilant year-round, evaluate your ability to bounce back after an outage, and more importantly, evaluate your neighbors and your community's ability to bounce back. Do you have a resource that your neighbors will need access to that you could supply during an emergency? For those of our customers with medical needs, so I mentioned we've been doing a deep dive into the needs of these customers lately. We're wanting to roll out some products and programs that are specific to customers who are reliant on electricity for medical purposes. So CPAP machines, oxygen concentrators, anything, even keeping your prescriptions cool. So coming in 2023, we're hoping to be able to offer a subsidized portable battery program for these customers. It'll be a very small population to start, and then we would roll it out over the next few months as we sort of evaluate how it's performing. In the meantime, something you can do is enroll in the medical certificate program, which is free for any PGE customer right now. You can go online and sign up for it today. Essentially, it just lets PGE know where our most critical customers are. There is some bill flexibility as a side effect of this if you're someone that's low income and enrolled in the MedCert program. But it also allows us to know where you are so we can communicate with you before, during, and after an outage to ensure that you've got everything you need. And then, of course, just staying informed. Updating your contact information with PGE will automatically send you restoration times, or we'll let you know if the power is out in your home. So this project, this program is called Energy Partner. I don't know if we have any business partners on the call today, or if there's any business owners that will be watching after today, but Energy Partner is a great option for you if you're a small business owner in Westland. It's a demand response program that pays you to reduce or shift your energy use for a couple hours when demand on the grid is really high. So usually a really hot summer day or a really cold winter night. The basic concept is if everybody is using a little bit less energy during those times, it decreases our need as a utility to buy more expensive power to meet that demand. So that keeps energy prices low, but it also gets at what Shawna had mentioned earlier. It reduces our need to purchase kind of dirty energy, right? We want to only be purchasing the carbon neutral energy, the clean energy. And so this program is one way that we can do that. So some examples of what you might do to participate in this program as a business owner. Maybe you just change the time of day that you're charging your equipment. You might turn your business's thermostat up or down by a couple degrees. You might shift non-critical production hours by a couple hours. You might shift your HVAC set point for just a short period of time. So it's really small changes that add up to make a really big difference. And they're totally customizable to whatever partner we're working with. So no Energy Partner's plan looks the same, which is what makes this pretty unique. So essentially, when we anticipate the need for an event, so let's say it's a heat dome, hopefully not quite that hot ever again. Let's say you have a heat wave coming. We might call an event, contact everybody that's an Energy Partner and say, hey, we're anticipating high need for power. We're going to turn your thermostat down by a degree or two, or could you change your manufacturing processes off this hour? You choose whether or not you participate. And if you do, you're compensated for that at the end of each month. So I embedded in here a link as well. I'll drop that in the chat too, a link to the website. There's a really short minute and a half little video that explains how this works. But it's an awesome program, and it's really our best option for resiliency solutions for our business customers. And then lastly, I'll just say, when we're talking about working with our municipal customers, we want to continue to evaluate our customer needs. So I mentioned last year, we spent a ton of time learning about our medically fragile customers. And this upcoming year, we're doing a deep dive into the resiliency needs of some of our larger business customers, as well as customers that are living in our more rural parts of the service territory, to find out their resiliency needs. We're a relatively young team, and so we're really trying to learn as much as we can about our customers in this very particular lens. So expect in the next couple of years quite a lot more resiliency programs dedicated to very specific segments of our population. We've also been looking at grant opportunities. The federal infrastructure funding is trickling down to everybody slowly, and there are some call outs for storage. So we're wanting to identify where we can really take advantage of that with our community partners. And then, of course, continue to expand partnerships with our community organizations and municipalities where we can. Any questions? I lost my screen. Here we go.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hannah. I do have a question about storage, because I've been hearing a lot of talk about this, you know, particularly where we're connected. Well, we're connected, period. But what would be a good location for a storage example? Like, we have a lot of older buildings in town where they may have high ceilings or big storage space. Like, what does that look like to have storage to be part of the system for resiliency?
So you mean like some of those really large, like more like a microgrid that would support multiple businesses, or like a school or something in case of a large outage? Or do you mean like where to put it, like in your home or on your property?
Yes. Well, I mean, I've heard a lot of different aspects of it, like when, say for instance, with Tesla, you know, when their battery, any car battery, where it reaches a point where it needs to be swapped out, but it still has life as storage. That could be residential, that could be in a city building, that could be in a business, but I don't know what that storage looks like today.
I think it really depends, and it depends on what you're trying to power. So you can buy a Tesla now, it's called a power wall, and it's pretty small. It's smaller than a washing machine. It's narrow. It kind of gets mounted onto your wall. It's maybe like 5 feet by 4 feet and maybe a foot wide. And it can get mounted onto a wall, and you can even get solar panels from Tesla that would power that battery. And that battery and that solar could run your house for some period of time. So you can buy that kind of system, and that's like from a size perspective, you know, again, depending on what size house you live in. Now, if you're looking for storage that could power like the Beaverton Public Safety Center and power emergency dispatch or like a hospital or something, you're talking about orders of magnitude larger. Or utility scale storage is another way we kind of talk about it, which is just giant. And you know, you're looking at like several semis, like semi trucks in terms of size of batteries, to provide power to like a hospital, for example, for some period of time. Is that helpful in terms of sort of thinking about sizing?
Yes.
It's really hard to wrap your head around. The other thing I'll just say is that like there's a future, and it's not too far off, maybe in the next like 10 years, where, you know, your electric vehicle can like put power back into your home and serve as that battery for your home in the event of an outage. And that's called vehicle to grid. We're not there yet. We're testing out different technologies to see how that bi-directional grid works. But it's all happening. It feels really quickly to me. And maybe it doesn't feel quickly, you know, fast to other people, but but like the different, there's so many different kinds of storage, like that Hannah went through, different sizes for different applications. And so it's difficult to sort of generalize.
I didn't even mention that there are even more, there's new technology too, of these sort of like mid-range batteries that connect to the grid, but they also connect to your home, and you can pick and choose which appliances they power when, and they have these smart apps that you can manage. But that's all still relatively nascent, and we are learning along with the technology as it's developed and how we can best apply it for our customers. But
could you speak to also resiliency? Oh, okay, sorry, Terry. I'll just ask quick. For the size of like an adult care center or a nursing home, because I think those were some of the places that were really most impacted with the outages and the heat and everything. What kind of size, or how does that look for backup for a facility with medically fragile?
that's a great question, and I'm not going to give you a satisfying answer, because the answer is also it depends. Because like there's a facility down the street from my house that is a house that is a care facility that you could probably use a standard Powerwall type home backup to power specific devices that were needed there. You wouldn't keep the lights on probably, but you could keep folks' medical devices running from like a standard home backup. But then you have these much larger facilities that are maybe several stories, or a city block. Many of them, if you're talking like depending on how they are, how they're sort of registered with the state, have to have certain requirements they have to meet for their backup power. So like hospitals have to have a certain type of generator on site, certain X number of hours of power during an outage. So depending on how the adult care homes are registered with the state, they may have their own regulations. We are looking at this. So when I mentioned we're looking at portable batteries for individuals that have medical needs, that's sort of our starting point. So we want to look at the individual first with these very small portable products, because we know that on the other end, you have like a hospital that has to have its generation on site, has to be covered. And then you have this whole middle ground of adult care home facilities. You might have foster care facilities, child care facilities that aren't required by law to have anything on site, but we want to be able to work with them to make sure that that is covered. So there isn't anything just yet, at least from our side, in terms of a paid incentive program. But that's the hope, is that that would be kind of the next step, because we're very aware of how critical those facilities were impacted during the outages.
Thank you.
I have a question. It's kind of twofold about obsolescence. So the first question about obsolescence is, since it's a new technology and it's being developed, at what point do you buy in, and then technology moves on and you have to reinvest? What do you see about that? Like, are the things that are being produced, the actual products that you buy, are they going to be compatible as they progress? And then the second question about obsolescence is disposal. Like, what's the lifetime, and what about disposal at the end of lifetime?
I can take a shot at part of that.
Okay.
When it comes to electric vehicles, I really believe, and I think that most people would say this too, that they really are the future, and that what is going to be obsolete is going to be internal combustion engines in the not too distant future. And maybe, you'll see internal combustion vehicles on the road for a while, but they'll be fewer and further between as more and more people transition to electric vehicles. And I think that's true for the majority of equipment that's being electrified. And electricity obviously is not a new technology. Some of the equipment is using electricity in new ways, but in and of itself, it's not an, it's a new application, but it's not poorly understood. We understand it very well. I think the key like kernel of your question that I think is really important is disposal. Like what happens to these batteries when they've run out of their useful life, or when we've decided that it's time for a new vehicle. And there's a lot of really, really amazing research happening right now that's looking into second life batteries. So what do we do with batteries when they're no longer holding the charge we need them to hold for our vehicles, but they still have some value left? And actually, PGE has invested in a site on Swan Island with Daimler, looking at the second life of batteries from heavy duty trucking as a way to, is there a way for us to take many of these batteries that no longer have a use in a vehicle, put them together in one site and create like a big stationary battery that can then be used for some of the applications that Hannah talked about from a resiliency standpoint.
Thanks. Yeah, back to the first aspect of it, the obsolescence. I think part of the aspect of obsolescence that I'm concerned about is standardization. You know, like now,
Yeah.
you know what kind of fuel you need
Yeah.
to put into your car. With an electric car, you know, is the plug going to look the same this decade as it is 10 years from now? You know, is the industry talking about that, you know, to not phase out partners that customers that bought in early in the game?
Yes, they are. I mean, there's a constant conversation, and it hasn't yet consolidated around one particular type of, it's looking like from a plug perspective, it's going towards CCS and not CHAdeMO. I don't know if that's the case in Europe, and I don't know if that'll be, you know, if that will actually win the day. But I think they'll, like what we see now are lots of adapters. And that may be the way the world works on the EV side for a little while, until the industry finally says, okay, we agree that we're going to use this one type of, you know, this one type of plug, and we're going to put the plug in this one spot on the vehicle. Right now, the plug can be anywhere on the vehicle. So
it sounds like it's already been decided what amperage and what voltage and like
no,
that's
I think that actually is changing, because vehicles can accept charges at higher and higher rates moving forward. So that piece is actually changing. It's the configuration of the plug that we're hoping kind of where there's consolidation.
okay. Okay, thanks.
Did that answer your question?
I
Mostly?
think so. Yeah.
Okay. Terry, did you have a question on this subject before we move on to tools?
No, let's let Cal get his shtick in before I.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll try to make enough time at the end so you can still ask your question. All right. Yeah, well, thank you, Hannah. And kind of one of the questions that you're asking, Kim, of you know, an adult home. During that outage, I was taking escalated phone calls, and I had customers who just didn't know where to go and what to do. And from that outage and those types of situations, that's where a lot of this kind of spawned from. And I think it's really great that we listen to our customers, and we've tried to build something that's going to help those that are most in need. So that's the one little piece I wanted to add, is that I specifically talked to some of these people, and it's, you know, it's heartbreaking to hear what they're going through. Okay, but that's not what I am here to present. Okay, and want to make sure you guys can see my screen.
Not yet.
Not yet. Did I not do it right? Still not seeing it?
No, we accept pantomime.
I don't know if we want that. Let me try again.
You got it.
Okay. And you guys can see my screen?
No,
It says
Oh.
you've started it. So
I got an alert right before or right when Hannah was just ending that said I have unreliable internet, and it's like, oh no, what timing?
Hmm,
You could send it to me too, Callan. Oh, there you
There you
go.
go.
It's up.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Phew.
we can see your like it's
Talking
not the
points? Okay.
presenter view. We can see your outline view.
Reliable internet will be a different education series.
Yeah, please. Can I join that one, even though I'm not a Westland resident? Okay. Let me. Sorry for this. What we can do is just. It's not going into the full slide mode. Does this work for everyone? Hopefully you
It's
can see
big
that.
enough. I think so.
Yep.
Should be good.
Good.
Okay, I apologize for that.
Yep.
Okay, so with the conversation that we're having of talking about what can Westland customers do to help the climate crisis itself, and I really think that this is one of the easiest things for customers to do. I mean, by a quick show of hands, who gets annoyed when you're at home in a meeting and then you hear the leaf blowers pop out and all around your neighborhood? Does anyone get like, it drives me nuts now. And so what's really cool about this is that we're trying to not only get rid of the gas powered tools that are polluting our communities, but the noise pollution too, and converting customers to electric tools. So what I want to do is give a little bit of background on what this originated from, and go over some of the results of what we had last year, how we refine the events for this year, and then what the plan is moving forward. So about a year and a half ago or so, maybe even a little longer than that at this point, this whole idea was created from what is like an internal hackathon, which essentially was trying to brainstorm new products or ideas that can benefit customers that are a little bit outside of just the normal utility scope. And someone had or a group of people had the idea of, hey, what if we were able to get people to get electric tools instead of gas powered yard tools? And from there, it kind of evolved into the bigger concept. And that's when it got passed on to product development. That's when I was took part in this. So once the concept was created, it evolved into the program that provides customers free recycling from their gas powered tools, and then a way to purchase electric yard tools at a discounted price. And that discounted price is anywhere from $50 to $150 discount for a brand new electric tool. And a nice way to recycle your gas powered tools. A lot of people either sits in their garage for years and years and years, or you try to sell it, it doesn't work, or some people just kind of pushed out into the woods somewhere and it's never seen again. So so we really like the idea of having a free recycler as well. So the last year's results itself, this is we had 3 different events. So the first event, we had just an employee trial exchange, and let me tell you, I'm really glad we had that because we worked out a lot of kinks. The original idea was that we were going to be having customers recycle their tool, but then purchase the new tool on site using a pre-purchase gift card. Well, that was quite hectic, and so we determined that was not the best route forward. So we modified that for our first public exchange, which was with the city of Milwaukee around their climate collaborative. We had 53 customers that recycled 95 tools. And we had a different format for that event as we handed out ACE gift cards for the customers to then go purchase an electric tool. So we had a good turnout for the one-day event, as you can see, but we wanted customers to be able to walk home with an electric tool on that day. And we kind of took customers at their promise that they would go buy a tool itself. And the reason why we had to do a format like that is that we tried to work with a local hardware store that could partner with us, but their margins were so thin that it didn't quite work. They weren't able to help with a discount. So we had this alternative of a gift card, but what we really wanted to push for was to have customers be able to recycle their tool, pick up their tool, and be gone, and they can start using their tool right when they get home. So we teamed up with Ego Tools and Ewing Irrigation as a local distributor to purchase and distribute our tools for the third event that we have there in October, the Portland Fall Home and Garden Show. So the way that worked is that it was at the Expo Center. We used their parking lot to be able to not only utilize customers that would already be thinking about tools because they're going to the Fall Home and Garden Show, but they could also get free entry into that as well. So we had a way that customers pre-registered and then they pre-purchased the tool as well. And so that 2-day event led to 140 gas tools recycled and 167 electric tools purchased. And beyond those, those really solid numbers, we had really great results. Our customers really appreciated the event itself. So as you can see here, we surveyed 299 customers and got 106 customers that responded, but 83% were very satisfied. And then, overall 93% either gave a 4 or a 5. And looking into some of the comments of the customers here that were the dissatisfied or very dissatisfied, this customer didn't even attend. So we tried to follow up with them, not sure what the issue was. They never responded. And then that was a customer that said that the event was not in a location that worked for them. The Expo Center is kind of at the north end of our service territory. It's not a perfect place right in the center. So we were really pleased with these results that we got. Okay, I'm gonna keep going here. Real briefly, what I wanna recognize here is that my original assumption was that customers would want to utilize this program to just save some money, take the advantage of the price discount. But in reality, customers wanted to switch to avoid the noise of emissions and gas and the need to store fuel. They wanted a responsible way to dispose their gas-powered tools. They want to fight climate change. So there were a variety of different other motives for customers other than they just wanted to save some money on a brand new tool. So it goes to show that customers in this area are not only want to do the right thing, but they're doing it for reasons beyond just the climate, but noise pollution and safe ways that they can get rid of their tools themselves. So this is really neat to see that customers had a variety of different reasons for wanting to take part in this. I'm going to show one of my favorite slides next. So this slide, this is a Wordle on the right-hand side here that shows how the tool exchange worked. And what they had to do was they would drive up our recycling partner, CalBag. They would have folks take the tool out of the customer's car. Once that's all recycled, they would then move forward, confirm their purchase, and it would be loaded into their car and they're gone. It was 5 minutes at the most. And we even had one customer that as soon as she got her new tool, I wish I had a video for this because she went and yelled, "I'm finally gas free." And I mean, it's one of those that's made for a commercial. But what was nice about this is that the word that really pops out there: easy, organized, quick, great, smooth. These are all words that showed that we created a great event for customers, and it gave us the confidence to move forward with these events this year. I see. Oh, okay. Well, Shawna, nice seeing you. Hopefully we can keep in touch.
Oh, no. I have a couple more minutes. I just wanted folks to know that I was going to be jumping off at 8.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we held 3 events already in April. So April 10th, we were at the Westland Public Library where we had a tool demonstration. So some customers could come, touch, feel, use some of the safe equipment. We didn't allow the chainsaw or the hedge trimmer, but leaf blower, they could roll the lawnmower. We got a lot of good questions, people that were definitely interested. And some people that were just going to the library and they stopped in to ask, well, what's going on here? So that was a great event that was held right in West Lynn. The April 24th event at Lake Oswego, that was our biggest event that we had. It was at Lake Ridge Middle School, and it was coinciding with the Sustainability Resource Fair. So it was a perfect marriage of the tool exchange along with the fair that they were having there. Didn't hurt that it was a beautiful day and people were out wanting to start some spring yard work as well. So we had a really positive turnout there. April 30th event, it was in Wilsonville at the Clackamas Community College. And it was with the Wilsonville Environmental Resource Keepers Day. So it was all a big event that were kind of spread out around town. But what was nice about this is all Clackamas County focused, and we were able to hold 2 exchanges and 1 demonstration. Through that, we recycled nearly 4,000 pounds of gas-powered tools just in these 2 events, and 69 new electric yard tools were purchased during those events. So really positive results. We had some questionable weather during the spring, so that might have had an effect. But we really wanted to advertise solely to Clackamas County customers and not the broader whole PGE customer base like we did with the Expo Center. So we were expecting some smaller results, but I think these worked out fantastically. So for next steps, there's 2 more residential tool exchanges that we'll be doing later this year. So late summer and early fall, we'll again work with the City of Milwaukee and the Portland Fall Home and Garden Show. That'll likely be in September and October, although we're still finalizing those dates, but any customers can use that, so it can be advertised to West Lynn customers. And then, we're really going to start looking at what 2023 looks like, because this is something that our customers are appreciating, and it's something that we want to continue doing. So we're going to plan additional residential tool events next year. And then we also want to look into some commercial opportunities. Customers that potentially like small landscaping companies or work with an HOA to help electrify their tools that they have. There's some hurdles that need to get over, like how they're going to be able to charge while they're traveling from place to place throughout the day. And some of the tools maybe aren't up to the commercial grade that's expected of the work that they do. So, as the technology continues to improve, we're looking for more opportunities to expand what this can look like in the future. So, that'll likely be coming a little bit later this year. And I have the old question slide. So yeah, any questions that anybody has on the events themselves?
Go, Terry.
A real quick question, Cal. I just want to be sure the gas-powered tools are physically recycled. That means they're rendered back into their base materials, not just resold.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So we work with CalBag, who's been a great partner because they offer the free recycling, and yeah, they recycle them safely. Yeah, they don't go and resell them. They use the metal. It's a metal shop that they utilize.
Oh, you good. I had a question for Hannah, and that was the whole home battery backup system program. We recently found out that in order to get solar, hi Shanna, we'd have to replace our roof. And I'm thinking it doesn't parse, but the home battery backup systems can actually be installed, and they are charged by the grid. Is that true?
Yeah, so they don't have to be installed at the same time. If you want to install solar, you might want to just ensure, you would want to ensure that whatever you're installing is going to all work together when you do get to make that decision for solar, which I guess brings up that comment of compatibility of technology as it changes in the next few years. So you'd really want to do your due diligence with the manufacturer to make sure that, hey, if I get this battery backup now and I do the solar in 5 years, am I okay? You should be. But yeah, you can get the battery backup on your home tomorrow, and it would charge from the grid, and then it would just sit full until you need it. And then if you add the solar, it would charge from the solar when that's installed.
Okay, very good, thanks.
Thank you so much. So we are there right on time, 8 o'clock. Thank you everyone so much for joining. And if any questions percolate, please send them to the Sustainability Advisory Board, and we can get the information to the presenters and get your questions answered.
Thanks so much for having us, everyone.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming,
Thanks.
Shanna. Cal, appreciate it.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Great.